Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live session from Affine. Today we have the Meet the Founder session, where we are gonna, talk to Manas. Welcome, Manas, on board.
Hi, Alex.
How are you?
All good, man. Good to see you in person.
Yeah, I'm also super excited to be there in the office finally.
Absolutely. After a long time.
After a long time.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's awesome that we are able to bring in at least some people who want to work back.
Undoubtedly, all message to all the people: come back to office. We are live.
Awesome. Now we were talking about our startup journey, and as you know, I have been a part of that journey for quite a while.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic thinking about that. No, I didn't have a mustache, and I had more hair.
I did not have a bulky body as well, Alex. Come on.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, relive some of those moments. So I know that, getting a startup planned and starting it is the biggest blocker for everybody.
Yeah.
There is an idea, and then people start fixating on the idea. They start thinking about all the alternatives. So how did it happen for Affine? As in, when did we move from ideation to actualization?
So when we exhausted all the ideas. So, the three of us, Vineet, myself, Abhishek, and we kept discussing different ideas. We should try this, we should try that. And when we realized that every idea we can kill on the Excel sheet itself, we decided that the only idea we were not able to kill was to start an analytics company. But truth be told, we realized that this is what we know. This is something that, we also thought that we can do differently. So, hence we decided, why not do what we knew the best? And, each of us, the three of us had our own strengths. So, we decided to jump. But another interesting story there is that, even after deciding over tons of cups of coffee and maybe a few mugs of beer, because, I don't drink. So the rest of the two of them took care of all the beer. But one fine day, Vineet just, stumped me, and Abhishek said, guys, I'm resigning from the job. And, before we could, kind of pull him back, he pulled the plug. So Vineet, thanks, for doing that 10.5 years back. Thanks to you, I'm here. So guys, I think, it finally, it takes months of planning and a moment of craziness as well.
Right. And even after you kickstarted, because it's different from a product company, because people are clear on what needs to be done. So we started with a services model. So as soon as we start, all those things come, all the realities come crashing down. We need a client, we need a plan, we need a differentiating factor from the other services. So how did all that, mature?
See, I think, to be very honest, I think these realities keep dawning on you practically even now. The realities keep changing. If initially the reality is that, hey, I need the first client, I need a differentiator. The need for differentiator doesn't go away ever. If you have a product, you need new products, new version in the product, new feature in the product, new market. If you are in services, then you need a whole lot of new things every single day, because it's very difficult to differentiate. Thankfully, we are in a kind of business where new things keep coming up any which ways, AI, analytics, machine learning, big data, data lake, data pond, DevOps, machine ops, CI, CD, AI ethics, everything, every single day there's something new to learn. But at the same time, yes, you have to practically keep knocking off each, problem as it comes. How to get the first customer, very difficult to answer that, but initially lean on your network. So first advice to any startup founder or any aspirant looking in, before you jump in, if you have time and if you're already not crazy enough to jump tomorrow morning, welcome if you want to do that. Don't be afraid. But if you have some time left, start building up your network. There would be people in your social network, from your, from academic institution, from your, past work life, from your friends and family. That network can help you. So our network gave us the first couple of customers. Our network gave us the first few very, very reliable employees. So here meet Alex. He's the first employee at Affine, and he's a perfect example of what is prehistoric. So he existed as part of Affine before Affine got into the recorded books, with Affine getting incorporated with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So Affine, Alex has existed before Affine existed. So,
I'm the dinosaur.
No, you're not the dinosaur. Dinosaurs are dead. You're thriving. I think, important to have your network there. First few co-workers, first few customers, the first funding, from Affine. For Affine, it came from our friends and family, the three of our families chipping in. Of course, they had to. We were the beloved sons. But then, I think the trust that they placed in us was amazing. So thanks, moms and dads.
Yeah. And you said we have been doing a lot of new stuff ever since the beginning of Affine. I still remember when the entire world was SaaS driven, we started with R. When people started adopting R, we started adopting Python, and so on and so forth. Especially in the second year, I think that's when the first non-conventional machine learning model was built at Affine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that has been the hallmark of the company, that don't just talk about cutting edge, actually live on that, command that new, and that new will never stop coming. It will always be something new. There's always that next that keeps coming. So I think as a company culture, we have done that. And I'll always encourage people to keep learning in your trade, in your domain, in your business. Don't wait for somebody else to bring something new and then you adopt it. See if you can probably start creating that new. It's thrilling as well. Apart from being commercially rewarding, it's very thrilling. Although it puts a lot of pressure on all of us, that we have to master everything that comes up new. It's a very constant, very persistent kind of an effort.
Yeah, it's a lot of self-learning, and luckily we had Vineet to hammer us in that direction.
No, he didn't have to hammer. I think Vineet, by his personality, he was able to inspire so many of you. When you have a co-founder who's ready to roll up his sleeves and code himself, and he does that today as well, that becomes so inspirational.
Definitely. And the second year, I actually want to talk a little bit more about the second year, if that's okay.
Yeah. All the years we
have
some time left.
Yeah. That was a lean year for Affine. So project-wise also, but I think that was also the year we actually spent significantly investing on understanding the new and plotting out where the analytics landscape is going.
Undoubtedly. And I think this was a very interesting year because as you mentioned, Alex, it was a very lean year on revenue. In fact, this is the only year in our history where we, from a profitability point of view, we went into red. I wish we had raised the funding then, because it seems that if you are in red, you get 100x the multiple. If you are in green, you get only 3x, 4x.
Okay.
But truth be told, yes, I think that's where we started working on it. I still remember I met one of our first few mentors, Dr. Shrikant Sundarajan in IT Bhubaneswar. I met him. I had gone to recruit people at IT Bhubaneswar, and I was having lunch with Usha ma'am. She was overseeing the entire placement function, and she invited me very courteously for a lunch. And there walked in Dr. Shrikant Sundarajan. My second meeting with him was even more impressive. He invited me to his office at Level Road. He had joined as a partner in one of the investment firms. I thought maybe he would be in suit boot or some cool cool kind of stuff. But he was there, very cool, of course, and he was coding, and he was very excited to show me that, Manas, look at this. This is something that I've coded. This is another interesting way of encrypting, decrypting. I don't absolutely remember what he taught, because even back then it kind of was so. But I think second year, third years were really formative for us, because after that, thankfully we have not had a situation of not having enough work at hand. So quite a few learnings from there.
Any other mentor you would like to mention in that respect? So I know there are quite a few scholars in that list, and plus there were some clients also who have ended up.
No, a lot of them. I think I definitely cannot forget our first big customer from US, Ahmed. So Ahmed, thanks a lot to you. I that's a big shout out, because you trusted us when we had probably just capability to showcase on the PPT, and you took us to multiple places along with you. So in a certain manner, we have been a big mentor to us, because you handheld us on multiple problems that we solved along with you. So big thanks to you, Ahmed. Many other customers have along the way trusted us. We got our investor, people call angel investor for some reason. Maybe you just want to please your first investor to be, calling him angel. But we truly got Dr. Sai. Till date, I trust that it was a lot of serendipities that came together to result in him investing. So, I think we have had our fair share of luck.
Awesome. So again, when it comes to the different functions at Affine, so we were originally a very sales-driven company. There was very little to do with marketing. All our HR was on just the people management. The recruitment was the external function.
No, so not just that, Alex.
Yeah.
If I may probably take over that question.
Sure.
See, I think it's a stage of maturity. You start with a 3 people company, practically the 3 co-founders. We are everything in the sense that we have to actually execute on the project, hire the people.
Mm-hmm.
We have to also create the first offer letters. We have to look for templates for service agreements. We have to look into service agreements, what is right, what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We did not know how to in fact keep our books. So thankfully you were the accountant for us. Yeah. So he has multiple hats, many more than I have. Across the 10 years. So I think at certain stages we started, maturing each of functionalities into functions, as you rightly said. 3-4 years back, 5 years back, Tanu took over marketing, and that became a function.
Mm-hmm.
Much before that, first Neha and then Saloni took over. HR became a function, right? Mahesh established IT as a function long back. Guru Rajan joined us, and finance became a proper function, although Manasa and others were leading it well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as we kept maturing, and if we look at it today, from customer success to direct sales to partnerships and alliances to cloud success story, all these are different functions. So I think another thing to note, for aspiring founders is that do not try to overdo all the functions right on day one. Let it happen. You will get the signals when it is becoming complicated enough and important enough for you to declare that and let somebody handle that as a key function, right? Overburdening yourself with too many functional hierarchies and functional silos initially, when you want to be extremely flexible, extremely agile and fast moving, that would be difficult. So I think let it happen. You will know when to set up different functions, practically like a some kind of voice from the sky, but don't rush into creating departments.
So start with the bare essentials.
It's
and
like
then,
single cell organism, maturing into a human being or maybe a more intelligent creature.
Mm-hmm.
But don't rush into just forming functions and functions within functions and so on and so forth. Don't be in a rush for that.
Noted. And on the when the transformation started from it being just a startup to a proper mid-sized organization, so the transformation, when did you realize that we were actually there, and what were the challenges? I know we talked about the functions, but other than that, what were some other challenges?
See, I think I think the process is so gradual, so gradual that you don't really realize on a certain date. Mm-hmm. that we have become this kind of a company, or we were 3 of us earlier, we are more than 500 today. Mm-hmm. I think it's about you are starting to get certain signals. For example, when you know that you don't lose a particular client prospect just because you are of certain size. Procurement definitely would want to have certain say in what size of companies these corporates deal with, mm-hmm. the Fortune 500 and all. Mm-hmm. So once you start seeing that there's, you have to clear more of a hurdle of proving your capability, mm-hmm. than proving the balance sheet size or the number of people in your company. Mm-hmm. Once you start seeing that, staffing any new project or any engagement doesn't remain a challenge. Mm-hmm. Once you know that, just 2 or 3 people being on bench, or 15-20 people being on bench, or 50 people being on bench for some reason, mm-hmm. is not a challenge, but an opportunity, because you can train those people on new things and they get breather to get trained. Absolutely. I think that's where you start realizing that the company is growing into something which is becoming a company. And I think the difference between a very, very small company and a larger company is that founders can take a break, founders can go on vacation. And the entire machinery is so well oiled, mm-hmm. that not suggesting that somebody please remove me from the board, but Yeah, I think that's where you start realizing that if the management and the folks can take care of the company completely on their own. I think we realized it long back. I think we have enjoyed being co-workers now for at least last 7 to 8 years. Because in the first 2 3 years itself, I think we formed a very good set of folks in the senior management.
Awesome. And now about our journey, once we have rebranded and now we are starting this new journey called Deepcamp, where we are actually playing the roles of mentors and we are facilitating this for a lot of startups, their journey from, say, post their minimum viable product to the next stage. So, what is one of the key things that has led to this kind of a thought? I just want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So see again, it was not born out of long hours of discussions or 6 7 months of deliberation. It again was more of a that moment of realization that hey, we informally anyway support a lot of companies, a lot of startups in the past. We have supported, we have shared space with them, we have shared our knowledge with them, we have worked with them as their hands and legs as well as their brains in certain cases as well. So we realized that we have the capability and we have the capacity as well to help a few of the startups. So that's where we realized that hey, why not use our ability. So each startup will have, in all probability, there are good number of startups which could cover all grounds, but each of the startups will typically cover one area. They could be very strong on AI or very strong on engineering, very strong on cloud, very strong on go to market strategy. But just initial days they may or may not be strong on everything, while Affine can bring that value to the table. So at Deepcamp, practically our number one promise is that we will give you hands-on help. We are not talking about just giving you a template to prepare your pitch for the next VC funding or to think around your go-to market. These are very, very valuable. But at the same time, we will work hands-on with you. Our data scientists, engineers, our AI experts, they will sit down with you. You will get to learn directly from people like Vineet and understand how to make your product better. And we will make your product better along with you. So I think that's our promise to you. That it will be a very, very different journey for you, and we want to be excited as well there. It's not that we are just offering you something. Working on a very different problem is something that gives us the kick as well. So practically we are creating some excitement for ourselves along the way.
Sure. And this is something very rare for a company of our size. I think it's usually much bigger companies.
Oh no, so don't be worried about that, Alex, because we have done so many things which are rare for our size. While the world has started talking about MLOps, now we started practicing the principles of MLOps around easily 3-4 years back. We have been playing on the cloud since 2013 or 14. I just have to make sure that AWS was already up and running by then. But yes, we have been working on cloud, on MLOps. We developed our first AI algorithm, first set of them way back in 2015-16. Worked on the first machine learning algorithms, as you reminisced, in 2012, right, on credit default modeling. And these were very young guys, just that they had somebody as passionate as Vineet to kind of egg them into learning something new. So I think we have never let our company size or our balance sheet size decide what we do next. So, and we are confident that we'll get the right kind of support from all over. In fact, I want to take this opportunity to thank a lot of partnering corporates and a lot of funding agencies, a lot of other academic institutions and others, thought leaderships and thought leaders and all, who are helping us either behind the scene or are ready to mentor our startups. In fact, I think we have already started the process of identifying the startups that will benefit from our kind of program. Every single startup that have registered with us, big thanks to you for trusting us. We'll make sure that every single startup that has registered does carry some knowledge back from Affine. But we are also in the process of selecting the ones that will benefit the most from engagement with us. It's practically a reverse selection that we are making, that are we good enough for you? So I think we'll come back to you shortly on which are the startups that will benefit the most from participation in Deepcamp.
And there is one final thing I just wanted to clarify. So we have a good collaboration within the organization itself. It never happens that the data scientists don't talk to the engineers or they don't talk to the people who are more specialized in the cloud partnership. It's like a joint team of all these different
Correct.
skill sets that come in. And I believe that that is the kind of ecosystem that you're envisioning for all the startups that are joining also. So building that ecosystem, how do you see that?
No, of course, I think, Alex, without collaboration, especially a startup kind of a, entity absolutely cannot function. And, during the initial days, they would not have too many people on roll. Even if they have too many people, it's definitely not advisable that they become siloed. In fact, silo is not good for a company of any size. Leave aside startup, mid-size, large size, corporates, Fortune 500. Every one of them strives to become much more collaborative. I think in smaller teams, yes, collaboration could be done people to people. You don't need to have processes that keep bringing people back together.
Okay.
Right? In larger companies, you'll need to have structured conversations as well. Not suggesting that without structured conversations, people won't, talk to each other. But so alluding to a very interesting book I read from this very famous author, Seth Godin. He, among many of his other blockbusters, he wrote this book called The Tribes. And in that, he talks about how corporates function in tribes, or people in general function in tribes. Societies, governments, businesses, all work in tribes. Size could be different. In business, he hypothesized, and I'm talking about a book that was written probably 30 years back or so, based on industrial psychology, that people work in groups of 150 each.
Okay.
So his hypothesis was that the moment you see a company growing beyond that size, break it into 2 or 3 such tribes, but create way of collaborating across these tribes. But at least within the tribes, there will be huge amount of interaction, and across the tribes also there could be. But theories apart, just keep talking to each other. Come back to your respective offices, start working with people in person. I think nothing can replace the good old chai sutta talk. Absolutely. And no offense meant to any of Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, this platform that I'm talking to you on. I would have loved to talk to you guys in person in my office. I would have loved to invite all the startups, anybody who wanted to see what Deepcamp is doing. So let's bring back that the spirit of in-person meeting. I think the kind of I would say sense of talking to 3-dimensional people. That you get from talking to real people versus on the screen. I think it's very different.
We are also having a few partnerships aligned with us on Deepcamp.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's AWS, there is Freshworks.
No, absolutely. And as I mentioned, big thanks to all the partners. We, as I mentioned, we have always been a cloud first company, and AWS, big thanks to you for trusting us. And we are going to make sure that we take your benefit of the cloud credits that you have so easily provided to us. Trust me, I think it was approaching you was very easy. We did not ever realize that we are approaching a company which is $1 trillion in size. So big thanks AWS, big thanks to Freshworks as well for agreeing to again share not just credits with us. I think Freshworks, as we have all celebrated, is one of the first Indian product companies to have listed on the NYSE and broken new grounds. So Freshworks, big thanks to you. I think it's very motivating for younger companies like us. Big thanks to Sign Mumbai, the not-for-profit for entrepreneurs promoted by and stationed at IT Bombay, and many others that we are currently in discussions with, Indian Angels Network, and so many others. Absolutely thrilled to have you as our mentors when we mentor the startups. So looking forward to the journey.
So thanking all our Deepcamp partners, and I'm hoping that now we are going to start the exciting phase of it, selecting the startups. And
no, absolutely. And Alex, I think the exciting phase is not going to be just the selection of the startups. I think, as I mentioned, it is the reverse selection. We are trying to see where can we make the best case. If they would be depending on our bandwidth and our capabilities. I think there will be few of the startups that will benefit the most from a company like Affine and the entire ecosystem that we bring in. But I think the more exciting part will start post the first selection, wherein we start mentoring them. Again, my big promise personally to all you, you all that it's not going to be just a pen and paper mentorship. We are actually going to sit down with you, code with you, because we will enjoy that. It's as much we are giving back to ourselves living in the world of young startups as we are giving it to you. Also, we are not going to keep deepcamp just limited to uh, an accelerator program for early stage startups in deep tech, but we are going to start community building exercises, also inviting leaders in different spaces, different parts of deep tech, come and talk to you. So just watch out for this space. Deep camp is about to become the deep tech platform of choice for entrepreneurs, where we are going to invite a lot of different speakers, thought leaders. We're going to conduct workshops, supported by a lot of our partners that are coming along. You'll get to pitch your ideas to a lot of different entities that could be interested in taking your ideas to the world stage. So I'm super excited that 2022 is going to bring the best out of deep tech startups, and we are all here to support you and enjoy the journey along the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Manas.
So thanks all for listening in. I'm so excited myself. It's almost like while I'm reliving the days when we started Affine, I'm trying to vicariously get that pleasure again by participating with some of these young startups. Again, going back to working from the apartment, going back to days when we have to use all possible kind of jugaad to convince the customer, convince prospective employees that hey, we are a company that will survive the next 2 years, right? So happy to live those days again with you all, and wishing you all the best in your journey. May many of you see that unicorn and multi-unicorn kind of tag very, very soon. Take care and have a nice weekend ahead.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.